Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am Vanessa Marroquin, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the 5th edition of the Anglo Public Speaking Competition. This year, we are thrilled to have had 204 participants representing 32 schools from across 8 states of Mexico. We've split our speakers into 2 age-based categories. Category 8, from 11 to 15 years old, and Category B, from 16 to 20 years old. The Anglo Public Speaking Competition continues to be one of the most impactful social impact programs of the Anglo Foundation, a nonprofit Mexican institution that, for 80 years, has been dedicated to transforming lives by building bridges, fostering trust, and connecting cultures. This competition is living proof of that mission in action. Before we begin, let's thank those who made all of this possible. On behalf of the Anglo Arts and Culture team, our gratitude goes to the great team of the Anglo Foundation. Special thanks to the people of the English-speaking union watching us from London via YouTube channel, and particularly to the brilliant adjudicators who will be helping us in today's competition and who will have the difficult task of choosing the winner from so much talent. Allow me to introduce them. Daniel Hernandez, Innovation Manager of the Anglo Academy. Thank you. Ana Karen Garcia, Academic Relationships Senior Manager at the Anglo Professional. And Alejandro Garcia, External Adjudicator. Thank you all for your time, care, and expertise. A big round of applause again for them. Thank you. To those of you joining us for the first time, here's how the competition works. Each participant prepared a 5-minute speech based on one of this year's official themes. In this case, unity, to be real, must stand the severest strain without breaking. They've spent weeks crafting, shaping it, and today they will present it live. To help them manage with their time effectively, at minute 4, you will hear 1 clap, indicating that they have 1 minute remaining, like that clap. One clap. And at minute 5, you will hear 2 claps, signaling that their time is up. Thank you. So, if the speaker is not yet finished at 5 minutes and 15 seconds, you will hear continuous clapping, which means they must stop immediately. After each speech, our adjudicators will ask 2 questions to encourage deeper reflection. After their participation, they will be led by our staff to the Anglo Foundation Library to participate in our social impact surveys. So, good luck to all of you, and let's begin by welcoming our first speaker. Please welcome Paola with her speech, Embracing the Inner Bond, the Journey to Self-Discovery and Authenticity.
Question. Who do you think you have the strongest bond with? Is it your best friend, a family member, perhaps a partner? Now, be honest. How many of you actually thought about the bond that you have with yourself? I bet that most of you did not, right? We do not usually think about a relationship with ourselves, but today, I want to challenge that. I want to talk about something we tend to overlook. How important it is to actually like yourself. In my experience, I moved from my hometown to a completely unknown city. While this happened, I had to leave everything I've ever known and start from the bottom. I was 10 when these people who were much older than me befriended me, and they soon realized that I wasn't the mature girl that they were expecting. From this I learned that the problem wasn't me, but it was a place that I was assigned to. I had to learn this the hard way. In just my 15 years of life, I've lost many friends simply because I decided to be myself. I stopped pretending to like things I did not like. Stopped changing the way I spoke or dressed just to fit in. And apparently, that was enough for some people to walk away. And yeah, it hurt. But it also made me think, why is it so easy for people to leave you when you finally start being real? Think about it. Why should I change my style, my word interest, the person that I like, the way that I dress? Why should I change any of that just to keep someone else around? But let's be real. Most friendships work like that. If I had to be someone I'm not just to keep you as a friend, then do I really want you around? That's honestly depressing. One of the biggest things I've realized is that being a little selfish is not always a bad thing. We're taught that caring about ourselves too much makes us arrogant or egotistical. But honestly, a healthy amount of self-worth is necessary. Too often, we get stuck chasing approval, trying to fit into boxes that were not made for us. We get so caught up in how people see us that we lose who we actually are. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, the one person you're stuck with forever is you. No matter how many people come and go in your life, the only constant is you. So if you do not like yourself, what are you left with? We fear loneliness so much. But what if true solitude, the kind where you're alone, not lonely, was actually where you find yourself? It's scary to think about, but it's in those silent moments that we get to see who we actually are, not who we think we need to be to fit in. If you really think about it, little kids are some of the happiest people in the world. Why? Because they don't care about impressing anyone. They just exist. They wear what they like, do what they love, and don't overthink it. When we reflect on our early human ancestors, they were primarily concerned with survival rather than status, popularity, and whether people approve of them or not. At some point, we stopped being ourselves because we're scared of being alone. Recently, I've read The Courage to be Disliked, and one of its biggest ideas stuck with me. All problems are fundamentally interpersonal relationship problems. Think about it. Most of our insecurities come from wanting to be accepted. We change who we are because we're afraid of judgment. But if we can let go of that constant need for approval, imagine how much freer we would feel. That is why I think we could all learn a little from Stoicism, a philosophy that basically teaches us to stop stressing over things you can't control. You can't control what people think of you. You can't control how much you let it affect you. So why waste your time worrying about opinions that won't matter in 5 years? The opinions of others are just noise. And when we realize that, we'll finally start living for ourselves. Here's the truth about connection. When we stop hiding parts of ourselves, we invite real connections with others. The best relationships are the ones where you can just be yourself. The ones where the mask comes off and you can be completely real. The right people will stick around because they'll love you for who you truly are. And if someone can't accept you as your most authentic, maybe they're not meant to be in your life anyway. In one of my most recent reads, the author wrote, "It's full of other people. If you're living to please others, you're not living for yourself." And that is what I want to leave with you today. You're going to be yourself for the rest of your life. So do not waste it trying to be someone else. As you move forward, I encourage you to embrace individuality and prioritize your relationship with yourself. After all, while we are inherently social beings, the most profound connection we cultivate is the one within. Be the person you want to be. Learn to love who you are. And if that means losing a couple of people on the way, so be it. Because the right ones will always stay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paola. Now we'll hear a question or a couple of questions from our adjudicators.
Thank you very much for your participation. Okay, so what social changes do you think would happen if everybody learned to like themselves?
That's a great question. I've actually never thought about that. But I think that if that were to happen, it would be an amazing change to society. Because we all have thoughts, we all have different personalities, different lives. And sometimes it's hard to comprehend that maybe someone doesn't think like me. It's hard to understand the feeling that maybe someone else doesn't like me. And because I think that I'm right, I think everyone else should be. Or at least that's how many people think. I think that if people were to finally understand that being yourself is the most important thing that you can be throughout your life, people will start to live in harmony. They will understand why people have peace and why we should be unified. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? And I can thank you.
How do you think personal authenticity contributes to real unity within a group or in a society?
Oh, that's that's a good question. I personally, like I talked about in my speech, I've lost lots of friends because I chose to be myself. At first, I had to pretend that I was someone else, and it really cost me a lot of mental health. And it was something really impactful to me to find out and discover people who actually understood me, who saw me as someone else in the group. But I think it is amazing to be authentic, and it's something that we all have the right to be, because there will always be someone out there that is perfect for you. Maybe, yeah, they might think differently, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be friends with them. Being authentic, you can find the truest friends. And that is why I think we should all be authentic.
Thank you, Paola. Congratulations. Thank you. Now, continuing with our next speaker, he is Natalia with the simple yet strong lessons from ants. Welcome, Natalia.
It feels as though we're inching closer to chaos with each passing day. No matter who you are, where you live, or what you stand for, there is a widespread sense of panic about the future. Social movements seem to be drifting further apart, while the political climate worldwide seems to become denser and more oppressive. Women in Latin America fear for their lives. Immigrants in the U.S. fear for their safeties. LGBTQIA+ people fear for their rights. And we all fear speaking out. Yet, amidst the turmoil of our lives, there is a valuable lesson to be learned from one of the smallest and most overlooked creatures on Earth. Ants. I know you might be wondering, what's so significant about these sometimes annoying little creatures? Well, let me enlighten you. Despite having brains that are only a fraction of size of ours, ants have mastered something that humans continue to struggle with: unity. These small creatures exhibit an extraordinary level of cooperation and focus. Ants embody the power of unity. A recent study published by the National Academy of Science Journal reveals how ants exhibit extraordinary problem-solving skills that emerge from their simple unity. Their resilience and ability to thrive as a unified force are unapparalled in the animal kingdom. Now, imagine there exists an ant rulebook of life, crafted to guide humans to the significance of ants' unity. As you turn to the first page, the bold title reads, "All for one and one for all." In the world of ants, everyone is invaluable. Every ant is equal. Each ant specializes in a specific task within the colony, whether that be guarding the queen, foraging for food, or removing waste. Together, they work as one cohesive organism, which serves as a vital reminder for humans. Every person plays a crucial role in the overall function of unity. Recognizing your own worth and appreciating the value of those around you is the crucial first step towards achieving harmony. We can envision this as a perfect social balance where no one is better than anyone else and everyone is equally cherished and respected within a community. Now, as you turn to the next page, the rulebook reveals how ants change their behavior in response to pathogens, proactively safeguarding their community from disease. By doing so, they protect the queen, the young, and the fellow workers. These resilient creatures illustrate a powerful truth. Our objective must be strength. In our context, our ant queen is each other. By nurturing those around us, we can shield shield ourselves from vulnerability, a condition often exploited in today's world. We must stand strong against any oppressors seeking to harm the defenseless, because ants, despite their small size, embody power. And as you continue to turn and turn the pages, it becomes increasingly clear that ants hold timeless wisdom. They persist against all odds. Many may consider that the unity demonstrated by ants is something impossible for humans to do. However, we must not overlook those who have walked a similar path as the ants. In these turbulent times, let's pay attention to the powerful teachings of today's activists, those who tirelessly champion peace, love, and justice. Ants are proof that no contribution is too minor, and that together we can resist, drawing inspiration from both nature and humanity. Perhaps we're all like puzzle pieces, yet to find a fitting puzzle. Maybe we're just worker ants trying to find our queen ant. Our purpose might be right in front of us. So it's time to raise our voices in unity for those whose cries are still silenced. The secret of ants has been revealed. Equality, harmony, strength, and persistence. Their secret is a powerful message that nature's most impressive achievements often come not from individual brilliance, but from the subtle dance of many minds working as one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalia. We are asking to all our contestants to speak a little bit louder, as the microphone is a little bit away from you guys, so please speak a little bit louder. Thank you so much. Now, do we have any questions from our adjudicators? Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia. You talk about two opposite elements, equality and diversity. How can society hit the right balance for a better future?
Very good question. There's a main point that we have to acknowledge. Diversity and equality, although they're not the same, it doesn't mean that they're mutually exclusive. To have equality, you need to have diversity. Because yes, we're not all the same, and that's no secret. But that doesn't mean that we can't walk towards the same path, and that's what equality is about. Each person is different, and those differences don't make them less, or don't make them more powerful. They make them have the same opportunities in life, the same objectives in life. And that's what ants do, because every ant has a different job, yet they still all have the same value in the colony.
Any other question?
So in the same vein, how do you think that this diversity and difference and creativity would look like in a society that has this ant-like organization?
I think we've already seen this be in society before. If some of you are aware of the students in Bangladesh that formed a revolution, they basically overturned their dictator that was there for decades. And what they managed to do is an impactful change. Students that were from private and public universities created a revolution by working together in a seamless organization. And the way that they did this was so creative because their form of protest was one never seen before. This is proof that as society, we can follow the lessons of the ants and we can do it successfully, especially with younger generations, because I feel like we have the upper hand in changing the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Up next, we have Juan Pablo presenting As Big as a Country Can Be.
Let me ask you this. How would you feel if you won $800 but lost $70 billion? That would be a very little win for such a huge loss, right? Now, what if I told you that it really happened to a guy named Ronald Wayne? I'm not joking. You see, we all know Steve Jobs, right? The founder of Apple, the tech company. Steve Wozniak may also ring a bell to some, because he also founded Apple. And perhaps you know that there was a third guy. A guy who, if he had stayed in his team back in 1973, would be a billionaire by now. His name was Ronald Wayne. And he lost all of this money just because he abandoned his team. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to give you some examples about how unity can be your most powerful resource if it is real and strong. Let's go back to Ronald Wayne, who abandoned Apple just 12 days after it was founded. 12 days. Looking back, it doesn't even seem like he gave the company a chance, right? But what would have happened if he had stayed? Now, let's talk about a different example, in which a team was actually a team, and they didn't give up on themselves. It is known that Japan fought in the World War II and was defeated, leaving the country destroyed. But many people don't get just how massive the damages caused by the war were. 64 cities were bombed and burned to ashes, and an estimate of 2 million people died during the war. That is the same number of people living in Chicago right now, which is the third biggest city in the United States. Of course, after that, the country was devastated. If many people had left after the destruction, just fled the country and moved somewhere else, I'm sure no one would have questioned them. I know I wouldn't have. However, if all of those people had left, the country would still be a mess today. Nevertheless, the country, as a team, worked really hard for many years to fix the destruction caused by the war. In the years following the war, Japan had the highest working rates in the entire world. And as a result, nowadays, Japan is one of the leading countries in technology, with a lot of worldwide known companies. Another element to be analyzed in these two teams is the size. When we talk about the founders of Apple, we're talking about a small team. It can be your family, your soccer, or even your classmates. But they're small teams. But as we saw with Japan, unity can be way bigger, can involve more people. It can be a bigger group, a team as big as a country can be. But how does this relate to you and me? Well, we may not be the founders of a multi-billion-dollar company, but we still have teams. And even though they have different purposes, they all have at least one thing in common. In every team, and I mean every team, you must work for everyone's benefit. Japan didn't work to benefit just one person. Each person worked really hard because they knew they would only have better lives with a good reconstructed country. However, not all teams are perfect. And I am telling you from my personal experience, sometimes you and your team can't quite connect. When those things happen, you may consider leaving the team. But if you leave the team, do you think the team will do better without you? Do you think that will make you a better person? Why am I biting your ear off with these examples? Because I believe that you should try your best to not give up on a team. Whenever you feel like walking out on your team, think about this. What would have happened if Japan hadn't been a team? They had all the right in the world to leave each other, to fight each other, but they didn't. If they didn't, why would you? Giving up on your team when things get hard may seem like a relief sometimes, but is that relief really worth it? We saw what happened with Ronald Wayne. It doesn't seem so worth it now, right? So take this home and remember this. If unity with your team is real and strong, I assure you, you will be unstoppable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalia. Now, do you have any questions? Valentina.
Thank you, Pablo. Well, that's two great examples of teamwork. And I've heard that one of the biggest problems with teamwork is communication. How can we overcome this issue?
Great question. It's really important because at some point in our lives, all of us are going to have this problem in a team that we have. What I like to do to improve communication in my team is to make a group, to give them a medium where they can communicate. It can be a WhatsApp group. It can be, I don't know, a call. It can be weekly meetings. All of those reunions are going to help you talk about your problems, are going to help you think about new ideas, but you're going to be communicating. And any problem that anyone may have is going to be fixed in those times. But if you only think about yourself and you don't really know how to connect and how to have a reunion and express opinions in all of your team, then, well, at the end of the day, there's not going to be the same communication. So I would try, and what I do, rounding up, is to try to give them a place where they can express themselves. That's going to help them fix their communication overall.
Yes, Juan Pablo, in your view, what are the factors that hold a team or a country together despite having diversity or disagreement within the team or country?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase the question? I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, sure. What are the factors that you consider are quite important to hold a team or country in unity?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for that. I think that, well, the three most important factors that every team must have is first, communication. As I said in my earlier question, communication is something key if you want to have a team that is successful. If you don't communicate, everyone is going to be doing a different thing. Then, the second factor is motivation. Well, if you are in a teamwork, if you're with your team, but you're not motivated, you're not going to do the work. Everyone is going to be doing whatever they want. No one is going to be really putting effort into the work. So motivation is really important to help a team be the best team or be a good team. And the third biggest factor that I think is the most important is companionhood or friendship. When you want to have a successful team, there's, I think, one of the most important things is we should get along. The people in your team should get along. If you don't get along, you're going to be fighting all the time. And if you fight, do you think that's going to be a good team? Do you think that if you're always fighting and complaining against one another, they're not going to be doing any work? They're going to be looking for the other person's mistakes. So, to sum up, the first one is communication. That is the first most important factor. Then it can be motivation, and at the end, friendship.
Thank you so much, Juan Pablo.
Now let's hear from Lina as she shares, unity is strength and division is weakness, the pain of 9/11.
Hi, my name is Lina L, and my title for this speech is Unity is Strength and Division is Weakness, the pain of 9/11. Life often puts strain on us, and social strain sometimes gets to us. Unity means coming together with someone other than yourself to achieve a goal. It would be great if you and others all have the same goal, but if not, division occurs. This is because each person's thoughts and methods toward a goal can be different. There are many families that are not united, and it takes a lot of effort for people who have lived in different environments to meet and endure strain toward a single goal. However, when moving toward a single goal, the team will not be divided if they overcome the strain when watching the news. I saw that some countries cannot withstand extreme strain and do not become truly united. When I was doing a group project at my school, I also felt that the group was not united because each person had different opinions and external stress. But how can we endure all of this and stay united? Unity. Unity emphasizes the strengthening of internal cohesion in an organization or group. Society initially remains for a strong purpose, but over time, that unity weakens and external strain, increased tensions, and conflicts arise within society. When external strain, such as war, exists on people, try to maintain strong unity when removing the strain. At this time, people unite for survival. They trust each other and share a strong will to achieve their goal. But when strain disappears, the energy to maintain unity decreases and disorder naturally within society. This ultimately increases the likelihood of internal conflict and division. Let's take the example of the United States that has withstood extreme strain and demonstrated the power of unity. On September 11th, 2001, a series of attacks planned by the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda struck the United States. This historical event was absolutely shocking, brutal, and horrific. It was something that should never happen again on Earth. This caused many deaths, and the collapse of the World Trade Center buildings and the economic damage was also significant. This event shocked and traumatized a lot of people, and everyone thought America would be divided. But after the terrorist attack, America responded immediately. President George W. Bush, the 43rd President of America, declared a war on terror. Within the United States, security measures and anti-terrorism policies were strongly promoted. This unity has highlighted the seriousness of global terrorism and has forced the international community to re-examine how to respond to it. It also prompted deep reflection on important values such as human rights, democracy, and the international law. This incident provided an important lesson that the international community can be united again if it works together. Strain. Strain is a symbol of hardship and pain. However, through it, we have the opportunity to overcome our own limitations. In conclusion, the 9/11 attack shows us that true unity is not just about agreeing when things are easy, but about sticking together when times are tough. Strain challenges us and makes us clear what we want and what goal we want to move towards. Because there is no success without strain. Enduring that strain is true union. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lina. Do we have any questions?
Yes, thank you
Thank
for
you.
your presentation.
You're
And
welcome.
how would you promote unity when it seems that everything from the news to social media is bombarding us with extreme individualism and only looking for our own interests?
So I personally think that unity related to social media and stuff like that. I personally say that the example that I gave out with the United States of the 9/11, people can I'd say that they can hear all about this in the news and stuff, in the TV or something like that. So people would able to see this incident that happened. So that would come across all the world, and they will all the people that were watching this news would able to think oh my gosh, this happened in the news. So yeah, thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
No hay cuestión a la cara.
Yes, hi Lina. How do you think moments of tragedy, those moments that you were talking that test the strength of unity. I will rephrase my question, but what lessons do you think we can learn from those moments of tragedy that normally test the strength of unity?
Okay, so thank you for your question. So we can learn from, so like the example that I gave out of the United States, this lesson can help us understand that we can create strong bond and relationship with people. So I personally think that every time when I hear this news, I basically think of resilience, because as I gave out for the example, people all came together, and there were many struggles and a lot of stress and moments. So that with that resilience, people can come all together across the world and can help each other out. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Joining us now, Melissa delivers trust is not unnecessary. Welcome, Melissa.
Have you ever kept something as a secret just because you were afraid of telling someone else? Well, I did, many times, and maybe you did, or still do it, until you feel the need of telling someone else. Who is the person that you trust? Maybe your parents or a friend. But some teenagers feel judged or ashamed when they have to talk about their feelings. So, when those teenagers have problems, they keep their thoughts to themselves, which makes them feel alone, depressed, or like they are stuck on an internal sadness. Today, I want to mention the amazing effects friendship has to our mental health, a topic that every day gets more talked about. And sometimes we focus on how our body looks like, but we must remember, or our mind needs attention too, because mental health is related with what we think, do, or feel. And here is when friendship appears. Friendship is a connection that even with all those jokes and shared moments, you will always have an emotional support. A true friend is not the one that stays just for the funny moments. A true friend is the one that stays, even in tough times. So, when you're passing through moments of anxiety or depression, having someone to trust is a huge help with our mental balance. Sadly, anxiety is one of the biggest problems among teenagers. A study made by the World Health Organization proves that 1 out of 3 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18 years old may have an anxiety problem. This could be because they feel the need of being perfect, and they want to fit in a friend group, or just want someone's approval. They have hardly any trust in themselves. They create a whole new personality, a character to play every day just because of the anxiety they once felt and never left. Until you get a real friend and you can finally be yourself. You can truly be who you are because you will start being happy and feeling alive because there's a connection. And the character, once created, finally disappears. But that just happens when you have social anxiety. And we must remember, more than 20% of teenagers around the world have mental issues, and most of them are not solved so easily. Depression is an example. Depression is a huge mental issue that creates a big sadness and a loss of interest on the things they once adored. Social factors could contribute with depression too. If the victim has family issues or problems at school, everything gets worse. Now, imagine, with all these thoughts in your mind, your grades start to get lower and the late thoughts appear. You will start thinking, am I enough? Why did I do that? Why can't I be like them? Why can't I look like them? You hate yourself. You don't feel enough, and the guilt gets bigger and bigger every day. Maybe you will also stop eating because you cannot even do that anymore. And sometimes those people you see smiling all day long are the ones that getting home don't know who they are. You never know what someone's going through, and you never know what they are thinking. But let me tell you, depression has a treatment. You need psychotherapy, antidepressant, medications, and social support. It is very important to go with a professional, even with all the help your family and friends could bring you. It is also very important that teenagers, their families, and communities must be informed about the signs of anxiety and depression. So, if someday something happens, they know what to do. And even though all my speech I've been telling you friendship is essential, the truth is they must be true friendships. The toxic ones, full of fights and emotional abuse, could have the opposite effect and harm our mental health. We must get along with persons that bring a positive impact in our lives, persons that bring light and joy with them, those friends that respect us. And when we are crying at our lowest point, we'll stand by your sides. We all have problems, but we don't have to face them alone. And I'm sure out there is someone who will always remind you, trust is not unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louisa. Now, do we have any questions from our adjudicators?
Yes.
Anel.
Okay, you're saying that friendship is a way to help with mental health problems, right? This is a solution. But what do you think are the root causes of this, and what can society do to prevent mental health issues?
There are many causes about mental issues, and I cannot tell you about one specific because every person is different, and I am not the same as you. So maybe something I see as casual and a thing I do daily, you don't, and maybe it will affect you. So maybe what society could do to have less mental issues could be start being empathetic and putting in the place of the other. Because maybe if I tell you the shirt you are using is ugly, you will keep all your day thinking that you're looking bad, when maybe that's only my perspective. And we don't have to put all our bad emotions to other persons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Do you have another question?
Thank you very much. And I have another question. What would you think would be good civilization examples that promote care of mental health?
That's a great question. And I think that could be groups of help, because maybe I am not too comfortable sharing my problems with someone that doesn't have the same problems as me. And maybe I will think they won't empathize as much as a person who understands me well. I, for example, have a friend, and she's the prettiest girl I've ever known. She has a very kind soul. And I can tell her everything that happens to me, because I know she will empathize. And she has similar problems as me. So maybe going to a group of help and knowing someone you know that will understand you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. Now, please welcome Marco with his thought-provoking speech, Coalition. Welcome, Marco.
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a really good enemy, the Wizard of Oz. Yes, I probably took that phrase out from a movie I'm a big fan of. But what if I told you it is truer than you think? You may know this new film called Wicked, where they tell us the true story behind the two witches from The Wizard of Oz. Where we say, oh, surprise, nothing was as it seemed at all. If you haven't watched it, sorry, I'm gonna give some spoilers. Anyways, this thing the wizard says is at some point reflected in real life, in our society, in our government. You may be thinking, why or how? Well, let me explain it to you based on this. Let's take as an example World War II, this massive and destructive conflict, the biggest of all time, which John Keegan described as the greatest catastrophe in history, altering the course of nations and leaving deep scars on humanity. As the majority know, more than 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germans and their allies during this time, being the worst genocide ever, known as the Holocaust. However, why am I talking about it? Well, if we think deeply and in the side of the union, we can see that at the end, people were united. What? United? But it was the biggest dividing historical event. That is what you may be thinking. Although, let me tell you, that the fact of each group having an enemy in common, Jews against Nazis and Nazis against Jews, makes each group united. Now, let's have a look at another example. Olympic Games. I'm sure you know them. Well, don't they divide us? Most of the time, if not always, we want your country to win, and we are against the other team or player from the other country. For example, if Mexico goes against Colombia, Mexicans would want their country to win, and the same in the side of Colombia, but at the same time, people are united. Mexican people, besides their religion, race, skin tone, sexual preferences, or other differences, are bonded together against an enemy. And that same happens with Colombia. But what is divided? Don't say it like that. Taking again the example of Olympics. At some point, Mexicans and Colombians will find their way to unify. Maybe because of traditions or as a continent in some other competitions. The point is that, as I said, what is divided, don't say it like that. Like slime. Have you ever played with this? If you divide it in two and leave the two pieces on the table, they will find their way to unite again. And that same happens with, you guessed it, society. When two people are divided, at some point and somehow they will find their way to unify. To illustrate it, when I was 5 years old, the kindergarten where I worked organized a spelling bee contest in which I wanted to win so much. So I started practicing every day, every night to achieve my goal. The big day arrived. I passed to the front next to my classmates to take my place, and the contest began. I was so nervous and spelled like 5 or 6 words until the next one came. To be frank, I don't really remember which word it was, but I misspelled it. When the judge said wrong, my heart broke into pieces. The goal that I practiced and put my heart on for so much disappeared. When I finished spelling it, my mom shouted, "No!" because she knew it was wrong, and she knew how much I wanted to win. But I didn't interpret that. I thought she was angry and that she didn't love me anymore. So we divided for a long time. But one day, she sat down with me, and she told me that she wasn't angry. She just shouted accidentally. So we unified again. See? We stuck together when we originally weren't. That is why Mahatma Gandhi said that sometimes it is necessary to reunite what is divided in order to unite what is divided, because only then can a stronger union be achieved. And that is how, from that phrase that can be seen as little and only from a movie, we could deep in on human society. And in another way, in how, viewing from these two opposite words, we can end in a single idea that can make us understand union and society in a different way. Sad but true, being united as one in this worldwide society is complicated because individuals tend to look for their own goals. So, thank you very much.
Marco, congratulations. Now, do we have any questions from?
Yes, thank you, Marco. That's an interesting dichotomy, breaking and uniting. And the question is, what do we need to lose break or suffer to be united in a long-lasting global community?
So I think you refer to like what happens when then of dividing.
Yes, I mean, you said that you need sometimes to be divided to be united. What do we need to go through to be united in a long-lasting community?
Well, I think that all the problems we face as a society, for example, pandemic, this thing that we faced and we've been through has like unified us because of that tragedy and that thing that happened. So all along, the things we have to face and the things that happens to us as a worldwide society help us to unify at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. Another question? Karen? Alejandro?
Thank you. So, what do you think when social groups unite against another group? For example, you talked about the Nazis versus the Jews, but these things keep happening. So, are we promoting that kind of unity? Should that be promoted?
Well, I don't think it should be promoted, but these are things that we've been through, and these are real things that happens. So at the end, we somehow find the way to unify. For example, with these things of Nazis, at the end, Nazi people can understand the way to unify. And at the end, these little groups that maybe happen in society and that are in society we can educate them. And I think if they have a good education and a good way to promote and a way they can understand to promote these things to unify society, it's really good. And I think that's the way it should be doing. It should be done on like maybe schools, teaching us about these worldwide problems that at the end can be solved all because of education and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. Can you please follow Andy? Thank you. Now, coming up next, Renata presents the true power of unity. Welcome, Renata.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here with all of you today. Clear your minds and think about it. We gather in a world that is full of divisions, tensions, and conflicts, but behind all these challenges lies a powerful truth. Like Mahatma Gandhi once said, unity, to be real, must stand the severest strain without breaking. These words resonate deeply in our mind, for they remind us about true unity. True unity is much more than a filter slogan or a peaceful gathering of individuals in agreement. Unity must be developed and nurtured. Unification goes beyond convenience. Strong matches requires patience, empathy. It requires sacrifice, mutual respect, trust, consideration, and most of all, it demands us to keep going. Even when it seems like the forces that want to divide us are too difficult to overcome. True unity is tested when things get difficult, when we are faced with adversity, when we are pushed to the brink. So, what do you think this means for us? It means that we cannot take unity for granted. We must work to achieve it every day in our words, actions, relationships. Because remember, big changes start with small actions. All of us must seek a common good, face all conflicts with a spirit of unity, not dispersion, and most of all, never give up, because unity does not build itself. We build it. Just take a look around. Unity is often something we aspire to. It's something we want for our family, friends, community, and even the whole world. We simply wanted to stand the severest strain without breaking. This concept was something Gandhi deeply understood. His pursuit of unity in all the challenges. It was never about avoiding conflicts or shying away from difficult conversations. It is about facing these challenges head on. It is about recognizing that as a collective, we are stronger when we stand together. We need to know that union does not mean being equal. On the contrary, the differences, that cultural diversity, is what makes us stronger. Because strength lies in differences, not in similarities. A quote written by Stephen Covey, an internationally recognized leadership expert. His words are a constant reminder not only that people can and must work better together when they learn how to appreciate their differences, but also because if we value people's differences, that could help us understand the world around us. But it is not as simple to accept all people's differences or even different perspectives. Diversity is a difficult concept to accept for people in general. There is sometimes where there are people that are different than we are. Often our first reaction isn't acceptance or understanding. Sometimes it is a little bit of fear and disdain, because we don't know where other people are coming from. All these thoughts are what make us stop believing in unity, and also are the reason why Gandhi talked about the breaking of the threads. He knew about all the social differences, the selfishness of people. People's egomania weakens the notion of community and belonging. This can result in a more fragmented society where people see each other as competition and not as colleagues. Consider the challenges we face today. Whether it is political, economic, or social crisis, we are constantly separated for all those differences. These divisions push us to the point where unity feels like a distant dream. Precisely in these moments where all the difficulties in the world feel overwhelming, that true unity is needed the most. In our family, community, and our world, we face countless of challenges that threaten to pull us apart. But we must hold to the belief that true unity is real. Our world needs more unity than ever, and it's our decision to be part of creating it. Let us remember that unity is not an abstract idea. It is a living. It's every action we do, it's every dream we have, or all our breaths together. It's unconditional support. It's the light in the darkness. It's the only hope we have. It's the basis for peace. That it's the power of true unity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Renata. Now we're going to listen to a question from our adjudicators. Alejandro?
Hello. So, Mexican society has been tested quite a bit with many difficult situations, right? For example, COVID, or earthquakes, or now the tragedies that have been in the region. So, do you think we are more united as a society because of that? And if not, how would you promote that unity?
Okay, so as I said before, unity is when we all gather together, when we all do something to solve something. And with all these challenges that we have been through, it's that makes us, only in that moment, makes us united. Because when all that problem goes away, we just go our separate ways. And we just go away and we don't care about others. So we have neither that unity and we don't have that spirit that we need to have. To have that unity, I must say that we need to work on that. We need to have family, we need to have friends beside us to just stay with us, and when they are beside us, we can just realize the true meaning of true unity. So that's it. Thank you.
Another question?
Thank you. You said that we must not take unity for granted, right? And that we need to nurture and develop unity. What would you encourage politicians, people in power, your director to do that, to nurture and develop unity?
We need to know that unity is not something that we need to have
or we must do. Like, each person is different, each person has her own opinions, but we need to know that we need to just gather together to face that adversities and to encourage that true unity. I must say that we need to make campaigns to just realize the people that unity is not an abstract idea, it is a living, and we need to know that unity needs to be present in each action that we do in our daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Now let's continue with Louisa with her speech, A Strain That Breaks.
Loneliness is the price we have to pay for living in this modern age, so full of freedom, independence, and our own egotistical selves. That right there is a quote written by the famous Japanese author Osamu Dazai, who I want to talk more about later. But first, all the speeches you've heard so far, combined with the many more you're bound to hear later, will probably paint unity in a bright light. They'll talk about examples of unity-building communities. And it isn't wrong. I mean, all our lives we've been told that unity is strength, that it stands severe strains without breaking. But what if those very strains were caused by unity? What if instead of bringing people together, this very unity isolates them? Today, I want to challenge the idea that unity is an inherently noble pursuit, because unity, when flawed, when imposed, when built upon fragile foundations, can be deeply harmful. It can foster loneliness, psychological distress, and a sense of emptiness that no amount of togetherness can truly cure. Few writers capture this struggle as profoundly as Osamu Dazai. His works paint a bleak portrait of individuals suffering under the weight of unity, and no longer human, the protagonist struggles to fit into society, wearing a mask to conceal his true self, saying, and I quote, "I am nothing but a fake, an imitation of a human being." Imagine the depth of that statement. Imagine feeling so detached from the world around you that you no longer believe yourself to be real. Dazai's characters often long for unity, but are unable to attain. They seek companionship, yet their disillusionment with the world leaves them more isolated than ever before. This paints a painful reality. When unity is forced, when it demands people to suppress who they are in order to pretend to belong, it does more harm than good. Loneliness weakens emotional and psychological well-being, making it harder to perform meaningful connections, ultimately leading to social fragmentations. A 2023 Surgeon General report states that loneliness increases the risk of premature death by 30%, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This evidence and studies also link it to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and heart disease. This evidence only shows that the lack of unity is not just a social issue, but a public health crisis. The decline in mental and physical health creates a vicious cycle. Those struggling with isolation withdraw further, deepening their disconnection. True unity requires more than proximity. It demands genuine supportive relationships that sustain both individuals and the world around them. We crave belonging as human beings, yet forced unity can create a false sense of it, one that is superficial rather than deeply rooted in deep connection. In societies where unity demands conformity, individuals lose their sense of self, sacrificing identity for the sake of fitting in. As an example, authoritarian regimes where strict social norms and ideological uniformity are enforced, people often suppress their true thoughts and beliefs out of fear. This internal conflict can lead to psychological distress and a decline in overall well-being. Instead of being strengthened by connection, these individuals in these environments are weakened by the struggle, an internal struggle, trapping their need for acceptance and their desire to stay true to who they are, leading to feelings of dissonance, frustration, and even despair. Unity should be a refuge. But when it becomes performative, when silences those who feel disconnected, it deepens wounds instead of healing them. Forced unity, a lack of unity, Dazai Osamu understood this. His character suffers Not only because they cannot find true unity, but because the unity around them is but a facade. In the setting song he writes, if you're gonna die, then die. If you're gonna live, then live. But don't waste time thinking about it. This quote embodies the exhaustion of those seeking belonging in a world that does not truly offer it. When unity fails, when people cannot find real companionship or trust, the world feels unbearable. For unity to be real, it must be built on authenticity, not performance. It must create space with vulnerability, not demand perfection. True unity can only withstand strain if it allows people to be themselves, to express their pain, to be imperfect, without the fear of rejection. The side's works serve as a warning. They show us the dangers of seeking unity in a place that does not truly accept us, of pretending to belong in a world that is not bound to hear us. If unity is forced and the mass suppress who we are, it will crumble. Mark my words. And in its place, we will find the very isolation we sought to escape. So let us not build unity on a pretense. Let's seek real connection that acknowledges pain and embraces difference and withstands strain. Not through pressure, but through connection and understanding. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Louisa. Now, do we have any questions from our adjudicators?
Thank you, Lisa. Your speech feels like when you live in a city. You feel like you are surrounded by 20 million people, but you are really isolated. Do you think this is a conscious decision, or is it something that we do instinctively?
I feel it's a combination of both. Most of the things we do them unconsciously, and sometimes we cannot find people who truly connect with. In a world we live with this 20 million people, we cannot find those people who are true to themselves. If you're not true to themselves, how do you believe you can be true to someone else? How can you withstand connection and not fail them? I believe we think too much for ourselves, that we lose ourselves in our thoughts, and often don't think of how our actions impact us. It leaves us in a world where we're alone, whether conscious or unconsciously. It is not something I can say, because I, for example, can do it consciously. I don't want to have these relationships, this unity, but maybe maybe the public does it unconsciously. It's something that relates to mental health, and mental health problems are not only developed, but can exist through being born.
Thank you, Luisa. Alejandro.
Talking about extreme individualism, this fosters isolation. What would be some measures that you would like to see implemented that would foster being vulnerable, being imperfect, and therefore helping people create links with other people?
I believe we have to be aware with ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves in order to be vulnerable. I need to find someone I feel safe with, but in order for that person to form that link, that person also needs to be safe with me. And that only happens when you're true to yourself. When you accept who you are, when you accept your decisions, what you like, what you don't, it's easier to form these connections. If we start to be vulnerable, if we accept who we are, then I believe we'll find unity. We'll find people that we can connect with. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Luisa. Now we are welcoming Benjamin, exploring the topic, real friendship is shown in the worst moments. Welcome.
%64%. This is the average percentage of teenagers that have made a new friend by social media. I bet that a teenager that made a new friend by Instagram is not going to be a real friend. We meet a lot of people, we trust people, we get betrayed by people, but the one who stays beside you, no matter the difficulties, are the friends you will want to keep for the rest of your lives. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to tell you about how real friendship is shown in the worst moment. You'll surely be wondering, how can you find a real friend in the worst moment? Let's say I meet somebody in a coffee. He talks to me, we have a nice conversation, and we become good friends. This is actually how most people believe real friends look like. He can even have your same likes and beliefs. For example, we can both believe that Messi is the best football player. In this stage of our lives, when we are teenagers, we're gonna start making new friends. Some of them might be real friends, but some of them are not. Because friends we can have plenty. We can have buddies that we meet in school. We can have pals in our soccer team. But real friends, those are the ones that can fit in your hand. Because anyone can pretend to be your friend. He can pay for your food when you have no money. He can help you with your homework, etc. But a real friend will stay with you in your worst moment. Up to your failing a test or losing a familiar. He will stay with you and he will have empathy. And I don't mean, I'm sorry you didn't convince your parents to buy you the new iPhone kind of empathy. I mean, I'm sorry your mother died kind of empathy. And that's the moment you realize, what kind of friends do you have? Now, let me tell you what I believe is another characteristic of real friendship. Tolerance. I have a best friend, and we've known each other for 10 years, and we have had discussions a million times, but we have always forgiven each other. He has always supported me, and I have always supported him. And surprising to some, we don't even have the same likes. He likes classical music, and I like football. And when I talk about football, he gets bored, but he stays. And when he talks to me about classical music, my brain just turns off. But I keep listening. That's what a real friend does. It not only supports you in the things you both like, it supports you in the things he doesn't like, because he knows that it's important to you. And that's what a real friend does. Because if you only talk about things you both like, that means you have similar taste. Therefore, you may enjoy his company. But do not confuse company with real friendship. This might be the easiest characteristic for you to identify if you think you have a real friend. Now, here's an example for when we are having bad days. Everybody has bad days, right? So let's say there's a friend in your school who likes to talk to you about football. But one day, you arrive yelling at everybody, complaining about everything, because you are having a bad day. There are two things he can do depending on your kind of friendship. Number one, he ignores you and he doesn't talk to you for the rest of the day. Number two, he does talk to you, asks you why you're acting like that, and tells you there's anything he can do to help you. If he chose to ignore you, it's because he is your friend, not by who you are, but by your company. And nobody likes to have bad company. So he stays away from you in your bad days. But if you have a real friendship with him, he will want to help you, support you, and he will be there for you in your good days and in your bad days. Now I'm gonna tell you what I think is the key to finding real friendships. Observation. Observe. Observe which friends support you in the things they don't like. Which friends care about things you care. Which friends will generally forgive you 100 times and still being your friend. And if you do observe, then when you find yourself in the worst moment, you will have a real friend by your side. Because real friendship is shown in the worst moments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Do we have questions from our adjudicators? Anna Karen.
Hello, Benjamin. How do you think friendships that are built on unity and authenticity, as you mentioned, can help a group or a society face collective challenges?
Well, I think that friendship and, friendship is what holds a society. You are not going to clean your neighbor's street that's full of garbage if you don't like him. But if you have friendship, if you all accept each other, if you all support each other despite your differences, you're gonna create a good society, a healthy society, and eventually a better world. Thank you.
And now I want to ask you a question. So you talked at length about friendship and the importance of friendship. But what happens when friends grow apart, when this friendship ends? So how could you honor that former unity?
Well, that's an excellent question, because I think if you have a real friendship with somebody, despite you separate over a discussion or he moves to another country, friendship is a very powerful thing that remains. If after he comes back, if you ever see him again, and you talk to him, and you relate to him, and you don't pull him away, that friendship will remain there. That friendship will grow again. Because friendship is something that can hold distance, that can hold fights, that can hold differences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you. Joining us now, Jimena delivers The Hidden Danger of Pleasing Others. Welcome, Jimena.
Givers need to set limits because takers rarely do. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the problems we face, which is the desire to please others. At some point in our lives, we've all sought approval, recognition for actions, or simply the act of making those around us happy. But have you ever stopped to think about what happened in our brains when we seek that satisfaction? Pleasing others is not just about helping or serving. It's something more, a feeling of pleasure. But what if I told you that the pleasure you feel is called dopamine? When we help someone, offer a kind gesture, or simply strive to make someone feel good, or we respond in a powerful way, it releases dopamine, a hormone that brings us happiness, pleasure, and make us feel good. According to the psychologist Laura Palomares Perez, dopamine is the chemical that makes us feel good, that gives us that sense of gratification after an effort. Every time we're generous, every time we sacrifice ourselves for someone else, or we reward us with a dose of dopamine, creating a positive cycle. We don't just help others, we're also helping ourselves. This give and receive cycle is one of the driving force of our social relationships and happiness. However, it's important to point out that it's not just about pleasing others in any way. The desire to please everyone excessively can lead us to lose our authenticity or even sacrifice our personal well-being. The key is to find a healthy balance by pleasing others from a place of genuine empathy and respect, without being dragged by the need of constant approval. The challenge then is to find ways to make those around us happy, but to do so in a way that keeps us true to ourselves. The challenge then is to find ways to make those around us happy, but to do so in a way that keeps us true to ourselves. When pleasing others also become a form of personal growth, the benefit is twofold. We help and we help ourselves. Setting boundaries in our relationships will bring lots of benefits. First of all, less stress. The feeling of support a friend gives us will make our anguish decrease. They will also improve your health. When you have someone who cares about you, it increases the level of self-care. You will feel less pain. Those who have someone to lean on in their most painful moment perceive the pain in a less intense way. And at last, but not least, it prevents obesity. Friendship is a very high significant factor in emotional compensation, just as much as food. In fact, people who have friends are less likely to do compulsively. In my personal experience, when I realized that I was a people pleaser, it was with my best friends. Because even though I considered them as my friends, for them I was just one more in the group. And when I realized that the only thing I did was to hurt myself by saying yes to everything, even if I didn't want to, or putting their needs before mine was horrible, because not even in my worst moments, they would have done a fifth of what I did, and even thought I would have done anything to keep them on my side. All they did was hurt me more and make me feel like the worst person in the world. But now, I want to share with you some of the things I did to stop being a people pleaser. 1. Just say no. Do this respectfully and always know that what you did was right, without needing others' approval. 2. Consider your priorities. Putting your needs before others does not make you a bad person. In fact, it shows that you want help, but also put yourself first. 3. Don't apologize for saying no. Often when we say no, we feel bad and want to help the other person, putting our own needs aside. Finally, set healthy boundaries. Pleasing others is not healthy, as it affects us in the long run. But if we set boundaries, we not only help ourselves, but also show others how far we're willing to go. Stop asking why they keep doing it and start asking why you keep allowing. So next time you do a kind gesture or decide to contribute to the well-being of another person, remember that you're not only creating a positive connection with the world around you, but also cultivating your own inner well-being, the one reflecting every spark of dopamine your brain generates in response to the kindness you give. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jimena. Now let's listen to a question of our adjudicators.
Thank you, Lina. Well, how do you think social media has helped this cycle of dopamine? No? When you post something and receive likes and expect other people to react and to please others, you know? And how can teenagers counteract this problem? Because I think this is a problem.
Well, as I said at my speech, I think that the first thing we need to do to stop being people pleaser is to say no. Because it is a straight line between helping and pleasing. And if we cross it, it is a different world. Because as I tell you, I have lots of friends a few years ago. But now that I'm a different person, and when I realized that I was a people pleaser, it was like a mindfulling, like, hey, stop right there and reset. So I think that for teenagers, we need to start saying no and to start focusing on ourselves before on other people. And this is like a very bonding with social media, because all of us teenagers, we need like the attention of everyone, saying like, oh, you look so beautiful, or like, oh, you're the perfect one, and having lots of likes. But if we feel okay, if we're with the friends, people that we trust and love, it is the greatest thing in the world. So I think that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Alejandro, thank you.
Thank you for your speech. And you talked a lot about keeping true to ourselves, but how we can have this balance between that and also have tolerance and accepting differences, but on a social scale.
Okay, I think that the most dangerous thing in the world is to need the acceptance of the people. And I think that being tolerant, I think it doesn't bond a lot to being ourselves. It bonds a little bit, because if I'm tolerant with my friends, I'm showing them that I will be there for them, but also I need to show them that not all the things that they think it's correct for me are. So I also need to show all the people that trust in me, love me, and are for me, that I'm a different person, a part of them. And yes, be part of their life, be together, help them, support them, but also show this
balance, like saying like, okay, I help you, I trust you, but also you're doing this wrong, and I don't think that what you're doing is right, but if you feel secure and you feel right, it's okay, it's on your way. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Continuing with our next speaker, here is Valentina with Unity or Submission. Can we face the real truth of solidarity?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'd like to invite you to question something. Something we've heard and accepted without much thought. Unity. We have been told that unity is strength, that it is the key to overcoming any obstacle, and that without it, there is simply no progress. But I ask, are we truly seeking genuine unity, or are we being conformist under the cover of solidarity? Mahatma Gandhi left us with a profound reflection. Unity, to be real, must endure the most severe test without breaking. However, I dare to challenge this idea. Do we truly endure these tests? Or perhaps, are we being conformist under the cover of solidarity? True, imposed unity. Unity, as it is presented to us, is not always a free choice. From a young age, we are taught to be part of something greater than ourselves. In schools, in families, even in politics, we are told that being part of a group is a virtue, and division is a flaw. We are taught to see others as enemies if they don't share our ideas, and we are rarely allowed to question this mantra. But what happens when that call for unity demands the submission of our individuality? And what happens when that call for unity is nothing more than a form of social control? Instead of fostering dialogue, it forces us to ignore conflicts. And the worst part is that by eliminating space for disagreement, we silence those who think differently. This is not unity. This is conformity. The force of harmony. At what cost? Imagine a crisis. We're called to unite, to work for the common good. But what happens when that call for unity demands the submission of our individuality? In totalitarian regimes, for example, unity was imposed as nothing more than repression. Dissenting voices were silenced, ideas were controlled, and in the name of unity, freedom and diversity were sacrificed. Is this the unity we seek? Real unity. Now, I'm going to talk to you what I believe is genuine unity. Not one that imposes uniformity, but one that is based on resistance, diversity, and freedom. Real unity does not mean agreeing on everything, but being able to coexist with our differences. Gandhi understood this. Real unity is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to handle it with maturity. We need to understand that the idea of unity imposed to us as a solution to our problems is often based on division and fear. In today's increasingly polarized world, we can see clear examples of this with leaders like Donald Trump in the United States or Andrés Manuel López Obrador in Mexico, who instead of seeking unity, feed off resentment and hatred amongst these people. Unity does not silence dissenting voices, and this tactical, used a lot of times with these leaders, is often used to control people through fear and resentment. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe is unity in Mexicans. Mexicans often are really brave, and we unite. We have the power to be resilient. We have the power to be brave enough to not care about the challenges we are constantly subjected to. This is what shows to us what we really are as a town, as a people, as a country. Now I'm going to tell you a real life example that goes with my topic. In January 2025, dozens of Mexican firefighters traveled to Los Angeles to help combat the devastating wildfires that ravaged the city. Even though they had political differences, even though they didn't care about the distance and the challenges they were subjected to, they traveled there and helped people because they needed help. And they did not care about the differences that they might have. Now, also, with the immigration crisis, a lot of people may be overwhelmed because of this, because of the deportations. But even though this is really terrifying and really terrible, there's always someone willing to offer their help. I'm going to tell you that it is really important that we have the consciousness to know that if we unite and if we accept ourselves and if we work together, we will have a more united and a more prepared Mexico to combat the devastating challenges that we were maybe subjected to. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Valentina. Now, do we have questions? Daniel, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Valentina. You, as a leader of the future, what would be the values that you will promote to create unity in a society?
Thank you very much for your question. Okay, so I think that the most important things to overcoming any obstacle together and to the leadership are, first of all, trust. Trust amongst the people. Also, to me, one of the most important things are respect. We are not all like the same. We are really different. But if we have the respect and the maturity to handle the differences, we can overcome these challenges that may bring to us. So I think the most important things are respect and also trust, and to not being scared of expressing yourself and saying what you think. Thank you very much.
Another question? Anna, thank you.
When we are immersed in conflict or going through a difficult situation, how can we distinguish between true unity or forced conformity, as you mentioned?
Thank you very much. Well, as I said in my speech, true unity means everyone be able to express themselves and that they know that they will be heard and respected. True unity means everyone listens a lot of different opinions, but always respect them and don't be afraid of telling what you think. And false unity is controlling people to think that they have to follow only one thing and to think only one thing, and if you don't follow that point that they are asking you to follow, you're not unified. So to me, that's the difference.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, our today's final speaker is Natalia, reflecting on bonding for transcendence. Welcome, Natalia.
Since the first humans appeared on Earth, human bonding and unity has been a natural yet structured necessity for survival. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, unity to be real must stand the severest strain without breaking. That tells us that true unity is not easily broken and can withstand significant challenges and difficulties without failing or falling apart. But unfortunately, we know that not only genuine, healthy, positive union can achieve transcendence. But today, I'm here to prove that positive bonds does exist and why they are so important in our lives. When extreme survival conditions or unexpected disaster strikes, is the perfect moment to see the quality of the bond we have formed with our environment, our community, and ourselves. When these types of tragedies strike, relationships tend to be destroyed by personal or individual interests. By contrast, strong and genuine bonds can help us rise, survive, recover, and eventually transcend as an example of unity and strength. Something that happened in my country, Mexico, that we can refer to as a resilience and collective strength is the 8.1 magnitude earthquake that shocked and at the same time devastated Mexico City in 1985. I heard it took the lives of 20,000 people. Despite this, we never divided, nor did we give up the hope of moving forward. No matter who you were, your age, your gender, your religion, your political interest, everyone was a single force with the sole purpose of helping others. Another place where we can see the force of union to defend communities is Ukraine. I watched them fight not only for their integrity, but for their rights and their territory, and they won't give up until their homes are completely safe. There are thousands and hundreds of people giving their lives in the front lines to save only the lives of their comrades, no matter what. formation of bonds is when the first humans started to form communities to survive and evolve through time. If we never united, we'd never be able to survive until now and to create all the magnificent technologies that we have nowadays, thanks to many fusion of many inventive minds, brilliant ideas, and very talented people now we have on our palms and under our roofs, and we can share together. But I think that while some unite for novel causes of progress and independence, there are those who gather with dark intentions. The insidious whispers of greed for money and power, envy, and many more disease can drive individuals to the brink of destruction, forcing them to act reckless, regardless of the profound damage or repercussions their actions may cause to others and can broke the society. Despite this, I think that human bond and unity is totally the foundation of society. Without it, we'd never be able to survive until now, and the world as we know it today would not exist anymore. Together, our actions and decisions can weave the intricate fabric of our united communities, and together they all create a vibrant tapestry of human interaction and cooperation. I think that something that is very important for our society is knowing the importance of our roles in our society for increasing and fostering the strength and unity of this interconnected network. And in doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also pave the way for a brighter and more sustainable futures for generations to come. Nowadays, not our society, but the whole world is falling apart because of the differences of culture, political fights, games, etc. If we don't stop this, the whole world will collapse into wars and destruction that will end the era of mankind. But you can make the change. Let's celebrate diversity and hear all different opinions and ideas for creating a world of true bonds and unity. Let's create a world, as Mahatma Gandhi said, unity for all. My name is Natalia, and I hope your bonds transcend in the best way in your lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Now, questions from our adjudicators. Alejandro.
Thank you very much, Natalia. So, it would be very good if we could unite as a country in the first place, right? But, what about, or rather, what do you think should be implemented to unite as a world against these dark forces, as you mentioned, like greed and such?
Well, I think that hear all different opinions and ideas, and don't caring if someone does something that you don't like. If it doesn't hurt anyone, I think it's good. And I think everyone, every government should think that the things that the other government do or the other people and culture do doesn't matter if they don't hurt anyone. And that's the force of union in the world.
Thank you very much.
Daniel.
Thank you, Natalia. You mentioned briefly technology. What do you think about it? What do you think the role of technology is nowadays? Does it bond us or does it keep us apart?
Well, it depends because some technology can fall apart every society. For example, social media can drive individuals to the brink of social disease, so thinking their body is not good, or driving them to depression or disease. But some type of technology, like high-distance calls and many things we have created together, can drive individuals to a union. If we create technologies in complement of our human union, can drive us to a very good union and understanding of everything. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Thank you. To all our participants, thank you so much. You've shared your hearts and minds, and we are truly grateful. Congratulations to you all. Can we give them a huge round of applause? Now, while our adjudicators deliberate, we'll take a brief break. Adjudicators will ask you to follow our staff to the space designated for deliberation. And your families and friends, we will kindly ask you to wait outside while our adjudicators finish this difficult task. Thank you so much. See you in a few moments. quieren, pero vamos acá. ¿Sabes qué? Que yo me oía mucho y como tiene mucha sensibilidad, esto le bajé, entonces no sé si... Pues no sé si
aquí se escucha muy fuerte, pero allá se escucha muy bajo.
en la transmisión. Ok. Natalia.
Son 2 preguntas, ya saben. Cuando terminemos de deliberar y todo, los necesito todos de regreso acá abajo. Todos y a todos sentaditos acá. ¿Sale? Esa es más o menos la dinámica general. ¿Hasta ahorita alguna duda? Bueno, sí, el timer. No están aquí mis chicas de timer, pero hay una pantalla. ¿Se acuerdan? Al minuto 4, un aplauso. Minuto 5, 2 aplausos. Es lo que les van a marcar en tiempo y aquí están. ¿Sale? ¿Alguna duda hasta acá? ¿No? ¿Estamos listos? Nos vamos a hacer una prueba. No importa que no haya llegado Natalia. Arrancamos contigo. Entonces, Vane.
Entonces comienzo con continuing with our next speaker. Here is Perla with Life, the Greatest Masterpiece.
Bravo, aplauso.
First line and last line, please.
Just
first and last.
Buena voz.
First line and your last line.
Silence. Imagine a time before.
Porque este micrófono y sube la voz muchísimo.
Silence. Imagine a time before anything existed. Sound, vibrations, motion, energy.
Más acelerado. Más. Otra vez.
Como 10 rayitas más de volumen.
Sube el volumen.
Silence. Imagine a time before anything existed. Sound, vibrations, motion, energy.
Perfecto. Ahí te tienes que conservar todo el tiempo, hasta en las preguntas también. No bajes el nivel de voz en ningún otro momento, ¿sale?
Okay.
Thank you. Questions? They will ask you questions once they're done and you're done with your.
Okay, so we are just making a test. Is this fine with this micro? Can we do it with the second one? ¿Lo hacemos con el segundo o nos vamos solo con este micrófono para los 5 judges? Porque había fallado el micrófono rojo. ¿Solo uno?
Sí, solo.
Se lo van a tener que pasar. Ok, pero estamos bien con este micro. Ok, perfecto.
Muy bien, te pregamos. Aplausos.
She's gonna be waiting. Don't worry, I will be.
Por eso es el ensayo, justo para esto es el ensayo.
Now, up next we have Valentina presenting Roots and Wings. Sí. Para escuchar tu volumen.
My dad always says, primero te tenemos que mostrar tus raíces y luego tenemos que darte alas. We first have to show you your roots and then help you grow your wings.
Un poquito más alto.
Sure of this, I know I can tell my dad that I walk through life supported by the roots he and my mom have shown me, and every day I grow my wings more.
Un poquito más fuerte.
Un poquitito más.
My dad always says, primero te tenemos que mostrar tus raíces y luego tenemos que darte alas. We first have to show you your roots and then help you grow your wings.
Si puedes un poquito más, mejor. Respira. Sale y lo sacas bien. Ok, listo. So, questions.
Questions. They will ask you.
They'll ask you.
Bravo. Let's hear from Sofía as she shares the light within the shadows. Remember that you were.
Acuérdense que se tienen que ir recorriendo. En los aplausos se tienen que ir recorriendo. Es mejor que nos recorramos en los aplausos después de las preguntas. ¿Sale?
grow up? A question we've all been asked before. A question to which we answer: a teacher, an astronaut, a singer, a chef. The options are unlimited.
Un poquitito más, pero está muy bien. Nomás un poquitito más.
What do you want to be when you grow up? A question we've all been asked before. ¿Sí? ¿Más? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Perdón, más o menos cuánto tengo para
¿Tienes
moverme?
la marca? Ah,
Pero
tienes la luz. La luz te lo está
como hasta aquí,
marcando.
¿no?
Es como hasta ahí máximo.
Y hasta acá.
Como hasta ahí y atrás igual. Tienes un poquito para atrás, no más.
Ok,
Porque si se alejan muy para atrás, el micrófono los perdemos. ¿Vale?
ok.
Sofía, ¿verdad?
Rosy, ¿crees que podrías hablar en el micro de jueces?
Sí.
Listo, hablo por acá desde jueces.
Joining us now, Emiliano delivers I Am But a Child.
For the 17 years I've lived, I couldn't wait to be an adult. Ever since I was about this tall, 7 years old, I couldn't wait to see the full freedom of what life had to offer. Ever since my main choice in life were reading Harry Potter in the library and playing tag in recess, I've thought about what life would be like after graduation. Okay. Now, I'm grasping the tip of the crown that is adulthood.
Perfect. But not that fast.
Not that fast.
Yeah, because it will mess us up with your diction. Okay? Find your rhythm.
Yeah, is volume? No volume. Not speed.
That's it. Thank
So
you.
now the judges, yeah, we just have one question and then the second question. ¿Ya estamos bien con el volumen? Hago otra pregunta. ¿Sí? ¿Estamos bien con el volumen de juez? Adelante, perfecto. Gracias.
Now, please welcome Martha or Martha? Martha? You will present with TH. Martha with her thought-provoking speech, When Will You Finally Start Living?
Nada más quiero hacer una pequeña pausa nada más. Los cambios de lugares no los hagan cuando ella sube, sino cuando termine sus preguntas y se esté retirando por la parte de atrás. Así hacemos todo un poquito menos, una distracción menos para todos, ¿sale? Listo.
We're all humans. Just simply humans. That is not a secret. It's still March. But let me ask you all this question. Who here is already looking forward for summer vacation to finally take a break from their exhausting job? I'm sure most of you are, because everybody loves summer. I mean, I do love summer.
Un poquitito más de volumen.
Just be careful in how many hours do you spend counting for the perfect moment to arrive. Because did you know that on average, you only got to experience 75? Exactly. According to INEGI, that's life expectancy only in Mexico. We're extremely fleeting. They say, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day.
Pregunta.
Question? Second question. Thank you so much. Yeah, Martha? Follow-on. Ahí es donde se cambia, ¿no?
Ahí es donde se cambia.
Next on our list, Javiera presents What We Can Become. Javiera is not here yet. Okay. Let's continue with Ana Sofia, asking, is the future really female? Welcome, Ana Sofia. Those guys.
As children, they always tell us if we work hard enough and fight for our dreams, we will always achieve our goals. That mentality is all over every kind of media. It's the type of thing their parents and relatives tell us. But something that always gets above our heads is the fact that things in the real world are much different and difficult for women.
Un poquito más alto, intentémoslo un poquito más alto.
As children, they always tell us if we work hard enough and fight for our dreams, we will always achieve our goals. That mentality is all over every kind of media. It's the type of thing their parents and relatives tell us. But something that always gets above our heads is the fact that things in the real world are much different and difficult for women. Here, do I continue?
Yo creo que ya. ¿Cómo lo escuchaste, Rosy?
Sí,
¿De volumen?
lo que tienes que estar más consciente que que puedas mantenerlo, sostenerlo, y eso va para todos. No empiecen fuerte y luego vayan bajando. Manténganse en el volumen todo el tiempo.
Ok.
Thank you.
Vamos a ¿hasta dónde llegamos?
Yo creo que sí, que se mantengan como entre ¿sí? No más. Y también hacia adelante tengan cuidado porque aquí ya no les da la luz. Ahorita hay luz, porque hay luz de sala, pero no se acerquen tanto, ¿sale? Como hasta aquí donde están los clavitos. Va a estar su timer. Now we welcome Natalia, exploring the topic Unfreezing Our Reality. Welcome, Natalia. No, cámbiense hasta que ellas salgan, ¿sí? Para que no distraigamos tanto. ¿Sí? Please, please.
Everybody freeze. Stop whatever you're doing. If we take a look around and immortalize this moment, pause change, then our world in a few years would be identical to now.
Yo creo que un poquito más fuerte.
Let's say we go back 10 years, and I keep you exactly as you were. You would keep growing, but your identity will remain the same. Who would you be now? I would be a child living across the continent with no clue on how my life would turn out. And if I maintain myself like this, well, I'd be having a midlife crisis at 16. Whether we like it or not, change has always been complacent to mold our lives and our mindsets. Our reality without time, plot twists, and character development would be a base plate with no depth.
Yo creo que un poquito más. Piensa que te tienen que escuchar bien. Están viendo su celular. Haz que te volteen. Haz que te volteen. Más fuerte. ¿Sí? Piensen en eso.
Okay. Humans are scared of change, but it's not just a fear of the unknown. It's a fear deep ingrained within us. Humans have a human instinct to always predict what's coming next. So we have prioritized feeling control. Knowing prevents us from danger. However, as we all know, life is unpredictable. So to fill that void, we create a reality in our minds and establish what we define as true, immoral, and impossible.
Creo que está bien. ¿Sí? Ten cuidado con tus finales que se te están cayendo, entonces esas últimas palabras no se van a escuchar.
Okay.
¿Sí? Tienen que respirar bien para que les aguante el aire hasta sus últimas palabras en cada oración. ¿Sí?
Okay.
Va. Thank you. Bueno, aquí te preguntan questions, you answer, and then Angie will get it. Thank you so much. And finally, Alexandra reflects with loss or enhancement, the dual path of humanity.
We know what we are.
The white mark, right here. Okay, start right here.
We know what we are. We are the product of 7 million years of evolution. We are Homo sapiens. We are the first and only species defined not by physical attributes, but by cognitive ones. By our unparalleled ability to think, to cooperate, to innovate. We are the first and only species driven by a deeply progressive nature, by a desire to defy our instincts to push past the physical and intellectual boundaries of our existence.
Questions?
So this is the question. So you're the last?
She's the last.
Okay. So, hasta aquí, ¿alguna duda? Sí.
Al inicio tenemos que presentarnos algo porque antes era como que mandabas tu...
Sí, no. Acá no, acá justamente lo hace Vanessa, ella es la que te va presentando, ¿ok? Sí, llegan, se toman aquí su lugar al centro y empiezan luego, ¿no? O sea, los van a presentar, aplausos y en ese momento suben. Sí. En cuanto tú llegues a tu punto y ya hayan pasado tus aplausos, en ese momento, en el momento que tú estés lista, concentrada,
Speakers. I'm gonna ask all of our Category A speakers to come up on stage for this final moment in this competition. Perfect. Thank you. Now, to help us announce our three winners this morning, we will welcome first Alejandro Garcia to announce our third place.
Thank you very much. And the third place goes to Natalia Acosta.
Congratulations, Natalia. Now, to announce our second place is Ana Karen Garcia. Thank you, Ana.
And the second place goes to Jimena Alcaraz.
Congratulations, Jimena. And now, to announce our first place is Daniel Hernandez.
And the first place goes to Valentina Mayora.
Now, to every single speaker, congratulations once again. You've left your mark. May this be only the beginning of your public speaking journey, and may your voice continue to echo through the years to come. See you next year, guys. See you next year, families and friends. Congratulations.